Dave Chappelle is in the news. He's trending and he's awesome and amazing and wonderful. What happened? Well, we'll find out. Hello, everyone. I am still Mecha Random 42. Still the one, still the only, still the original, still your favorite YouTube consumer advocate. Harpy. Is my mic on? I don't even know if my mic's on. It might be on. Yay, it's on. I can see it blinking and blooping and blonking and blonking. Blonking isn't a word. Is that kind of like boinking? Something like that. It is something like that. Now, what did Dave Chappelle do and why is he in the news and trending? Well, other than being one of the funniest comedians on the planet, he is making all the headlines today for asking Netflix to remove Chappelle's show. And they did. They actually did. That's the big impressive thing with all of this. They didn't have to do it. They had no legal obligation to do this. They had signed the contracts. This is going back to the deal he had with CBS and Viacom. Remember when they basically took all of his money from it and he doesn't get royalties or any of that stuff now because he signed away his rights? As a lot of people do. This type of thing happens in the music industry all the time where you will have artists who re-record their old hits, even if they wrote it and it's their own creative property. Well, Netflix has removed Dave Chappelle's comedy sketch series, Chappelle's Show. I Can Talk Today. It's one of those days. After the comedian requested them to do so, Chappelle revealed the news in a lengthy Instagram video called Unforgiven, which featured footage from a recent stand-up gig. During the performance, Chappelle claimed he never got paid after leaving the Viacom CBS-owned show. Viacom didn't have to pay me because I signed the contract, he said in his video.
I never got paid. They didn't have to pay me because I signed the contract. But is that right?
They never had to ask, because that's the contract. And I hate that those are absolutely perfectly legal. That's the other thing. Just because it's perfectly legal, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. It doesn't mean that it is fair to the creator, it is fair to the artist, it is fair to the performer. Even though it is 100% perfectly legal. And they had no legal reason to ask him. Should have they at least given him a heads up? Yeah. Should have they at least said, hey, we're going to have the rights to all this. What can we do to compensate you because you're our top talent? They didn't do any of that. But here we go. Let's keep listening to what he has to say here.
They never had to tell me. Perfectly legal because I signed the contract. But is that right? I didn't think so either.
Nope, not right. I don't think it's right. And this is one of the things that I see, especially in the music industry, where so many of these musicians and recording artists, they end up going in and re-recording their own songs, and that's how you get all the kind of crappy gas station versions of the greatest hits of, whatever band from the 60s you want to hear. Or even 80s, a lot of the metal bands too. I think Judas Priest even had a re-record of some of their own stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably mistaken on that one. But you would hear this a lot with a lot of the greatest hits. I think Herman's Hermits, a lot of the oldies sort of music.
I like working for Netflix because when all those bad things happened to me, that company didn't even exist. And when I found out they were streaming Chappelle's show, I was furious. How could they not know? So you know what I did? Excellent. I called them and I told them that this makes me feel bad. And do you want to know what they did? They agreed that they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better.
And I saw his Streamlabs pop up here. Thanks for supporting Dave Chappelle. Anonymous $10 super chat. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I gotta answer this one here too. I usually agree with you, but when his show came out on Comedy Central, I knew him, but he was a mostly unknown. You are absolutely right about that. You're 100% right. It was very normal. It was very, very normal for lesser known. He was the guy who was in Half Baked. He was the guy who was a chew son of a sneeze in Men in Tights, right? He was still a popular comedian. He wasn't the top tier, most amazing mainstream comedian that we have nowadays. He wasn't in like the class and league of George Carlin yet, right? He was still really, really good, but he wasn't there yet when he did the series. He was still one of the really, really good ones. But I think right now, the level of respect that Dave Chappelle has as a comedian is up there with the Carlins and the Pryors, right? And I can see why Netflix did this. And this is what we talked about earlier today. And even the article here that comes from Variety, they even speculate that they probably did this just to make sure that they retained one of their highest draws, which is probably their most popular comedian, especially now after this Netflix controversy. And they wouldn't have had any legal reason to do so, but I think somebody said, you know what, we want to respect Dave Chappelle. He's gone through a lot of crap in his life. He has earned our respect as a comedian. Whatever modern day times might have had something to do with that is if you want to speculate, you can. I'm just going to kind of put it out there that, hey, who knows? It might have been a thing that might have had something to do with this. And you're absolutely right that back in the day when he did sign the contract, he was really, really not that famous. He was like Harlan Williams or somebody who was also in Half Baked. Now I'm just running off the list of everybody in Half Baked in my head. Jim Brewer, all of the guys in Half Baked weren't the most top dollar, highest grossing, highest drawing. You know, they weren't going to film Madison Square Garden for the most part. When did Killing Me Softly come out? Was that the 2000s? And Chappelle's show was a little earlier. Now I'm mixing up the dates because you have these comedians. You have these comedians where they, as they work their way up and get more and more respect, then they can demand more things from their networks. And I think the fact that, he didn't demand anything with a network, he didn't, and I'm saying Netflix like they're a network. The fact that he just went in and said, it made me feel sad. He goes in and says, it makes me feel bad that this is the case. And they just wanted to do the right thing, and they just wanted to do the decent thing to make their top talent happy. To say, you know what, we want to keep you on Netflix. We want to do this because we want to keep you on Netflix because you're worth more to us than the revenue that we're going to get from your show. You as a commodity, as a person, as a star. Especially after the Cuties crap, and I know Cuties got nominated for the Oscar, especially after a lot of that. I think that might be part of it. Like, they just really, really wanted to do whatever they could. Because he could have very easily said, you know what, after this next whatever I'm contracted for, I'm out. He could have said that. He could have said any number of things. He is famous enough where he could have gone to any single streaming service and been paid hundreds of millions of dollars pretty much for anything. He could have gone anywhere for his next special. And I think they know that. And I think that regardless of anything, I think that was probably their main business decision. It was going to make them a lot more money just to make him happy. And it's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do. So that is the Dave Chappelle story. Cuties being nominated for an Oscar side. Oh yeah, I got nominated for something. Does he have anything more to say here?
That they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better.
And you're right in chat. I think we talked about this earlier too, that they could have offered him any number of, okay, well, what can we do as a way, like, what kind of a bonus can we give you? What kind of, like, what can we do? They probably could have offered him a compromise. They probably could have offered him anything, but the fact that he went to them as a person, as a human, and said, here's how I feel about this. I think that's a lot. That says a lot more with how we progress as a society, rather than coming in and saying, here's my legal challenge, and here's why I'm challenging this legally, or I'm going to throw a temper tantrum and leave and say, fuck you all. Because I think he's a little bit more mature than that. I don't think he would go in and just say, you know what, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum and I'm going to slam you under the bus or throw you under the bus because of all this. I think that because he seems to have a very good history at Netflix right now, he seems to be treated pretty well. He does earn them a lot of money, and he earns a lot of respect from his viewing audience as well, from his fans. And pretty much anytime he opens his mouth, he's very articulate, he's very intelligent. And that's one of the things I really, really love about him. And that's why I kind of place him up there with people like George Carlin now, because he does have this way about him that comes off as having some wisdom behind what he says. He has a lot of class, and you don't see that with a lot of people nowadays, and that's really, really sad that you don't see that, especially like in the business world, do you think Rian Johnson over at Star Wars is going to be that classy if they let him go from Star Wars? No, he'll probably do something and throw them under the bus. How many of these actors do that? They don't. Or directors, or people in the entertainment industry. How many of these people actually have that sort of class and grace to say, you know what, I don't like this thing, and I'm going to do something about it in a respectable, intelligent way that isn't going to just Make me look like I'm throwing a temper tantrum. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I am MechaRandom42, and I am not going anywhere. At least not yet. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
It's just what they'll be expecting us to do.